Hey there Pokemon fans, welcome to part 3 and the final part of our long theory video trying to answer how old Pokeballs really are. If you haven't watched any of the other parts, check out the annotations on the screen. But just to quickly summarize it, in the first part we talked about the history of Pokeballs within the games and how it is implied that they're probably less than 50 years old. On the second part we moved on to the anime and covered ancient items that allowed people to control Pokemon. There were no actual dates when they were actually created, all we know is that they're probably over thousands of years old. And finally, today we're going to be covering ancient Pokeballs and other weird items that help the people of the Pokemon world actually capture these crazy powerful creatures. Let's begin. In the first part we talked about Professor Oak's Pokeball that is probably about 40 years old. There is a record of another Pokeball in the anime that is roughly 200 years old. I'm referring to Lococo's Pokeball. This was shown in the episode Just Waiting on a Friend. Here we see a Ninetales that was left behind by its owner for more than 200 years. What is interesting is that in the mansion we get to see a depiction of a modern Pokeball, and while Lococo's Pokeball has some major differences, it is not too far away from what trainers use today. In another episode called A Ship Full of Shivers, we learn how the captain of the ship kept his Ghastly and Hunter inside what looked like modern Pokeballs, but the fact was that they were already over 300 years old. So these two Pokeballs I just talked about are the closest to what we use today, a device that allows the trainers to simply capture the Pokemon, not necessarily brainwashing them or sealing them away. Because it seems like the ancient people in the Pokemon world feared some Pokemon and came up with ways to try and seal them away for good. An early depiction of this is the Odd Keystone. Some fans don't realize that part of Spiritom's design is man-made. The stone that these Pokemon use as their base is in fact a relic that was used to capture and seal Spiritom over 500 years ago by the Aura Guardian, which brings me to the Aura Guardian's staff. The crystal-shaped like ball was able to hold a Lucario inside for hundreds of years. While it's not known if the staff would work with other Pokemon, it did serve almost the same purpose as today's Pokeballs. But perhaps the oldest record of a Pokeball is shown in the episode Claydol Big and Tall, where an ancient wise sage created a giant stone Pokeball to seal a mad Claydol over 20,000 years ago. And there it is, clear as day, an ancient Pokeball shaped like the ones we have today. Lastly, I want to talk about ancient forms of Pokeballs that we cannot determine their age, but they're definitely old. Starting with the stone Pokeball that held the spirit of the Pokelantis evil king found in the episode Battling the Enemy Within. This weird device needs a theory on its own because it proves that human spirits can be captured, but for the purpose of this video we know that people believed it was used to capture a Ho-Oh. We don't know its age, but it has to be really old. Also, I'm sure many of you guys remember one of the early episodes of the anime called The Puzzle of Pokemopolis, where ancient artifacts were found that contained giant versions of Pokemon, which included a giant Gengar, Alakazam, and a Jigglypuff. They defy all other items that we talked about, but somehow a spoon, some dark device, and a bell was able to seal these weird versions of Pokemon in ancient times, but they did act in many ways like the modern Pokeball. We set out on this journey to try and answer how old Pokeballs really are, and what we have learned is this: the concept of Pokeballs, or simply capturing Pokemon, is as old as the humans in the Pokemon world, while modern and commercial Pokeballs are probably less than 50 years old. To put it into perspective, think about it this way: the concept of a wheel can be traced back to over 3,500 years BC, but the first tire was invented in the late 1800s. With that, I have finalized this 3-part video, and I know many of you are probably going to be like, wow man, it only took you like 2 years. Let's just say I cannot focus on one thing. But thanks so much to those who enjoy these type of videos, and hopefully you learned something new. Until next time, Pokemon fans.